say Bobby Gonzalez or Kevin Willard when Grant was on Kevin Willard's staff. So
no, Willard,
maybe we should ask
Willard's
him.
positive. Come on. Willard's a positive guy.
Willard's very positive, man.
What's up, Grant?
What's going on, fellas?
All's good.
How's it going, man?
Listen,
I wanted to ask you about kind of the method to the madness in building this roster, right? Last year you had 2 graduate transfers and all freshmen and sophomores. And this year you have all freshmen and sophomores with a couple of juniors mixed in that have come back from last season and 1 grad transfer in Melvin Ibankoli. I hope I got that name right, Melvin. Don't yell at me too much. It really feels like you're trying to build this program and develop from within and grow it from within. And it doesn't feel like this was an accident that the roster happened to be built this way.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, when you look at the job, when you're interviewing for it, you kind of look at all the situations. One, what is the status academically and how easy is it to get transfers in? And it's not a very easy school. I can get grad transfers that are really good undergrad. And I was able to get my first undergrad transfer in this past spring in Jeremy Clayville. Just kind of worked out that, he was a local kid. My staff had known him. He goes to St. Francis. He plays a big role in an NCAA tournament team, and then he's in the cafeteria, 2-3 weeks after the season ends. And one of his teammates gets an email saying they're going Division III in 2 years. So was fortunate with that, but this is certainly a job that's not a job you're just going to come and get 10 transfers and you're going to have crazy money to pay guys and everything like that. And it's a quick fix, but I like where we're at going into year 3. I'm excited about this group. I think we have a lot of pieces that we haven't had before. And, and the kid Melvin, we're going to have a true inside presence, being a guy that, played the forward spot in college and worked with some really good inside presence. My time as assistant, we just haven't had the luxury of throwing the ball inside, but having a guy that's played, in a good program in UMKC and, started his career at Missouri State, and this is his 6th year of college. I think that certainly helps us because we've been all, relying on playing on the perimeter, and just having a 24-year-old man to go along with another young team for the most part, just having that presence, having that leadership is certainly going to help us a lot, especially when we get.
It's nice to have another adult in the locker room, huh?
Yeah. No, seriously, you said it well. But when you're, I think my first 2 years, I probably brought in 15 freshmen combined between the 2 recruiting classes just because of the, academic components. But now you can go out and get a really, smart grad transfer, a kid that speaks a few different languages, and a kid that, had some good games, up and down last year. But, I think he had 14-9 against a really good Omaha team that went to the NCAA tournament. So he's certainly shown promises. Now, the biggest thing with him is going to be, if you can get 14-9 against Omaha, I'm going to want you to get that every single night at America East play.
The biggest thing for me with you guys is retention. You brought back some key pieces here that, again, maybe didn't win a lot last year, took their lumps, but, Ari Fulton back, Sebastian Robinson back. Like, those are 2 cornerstone guys for you to try to build around. Like you said, now you have a low post presence to help those guys out. I'm guessing the spacing was not great last season without having a guy that you could throw the ball down to. How different do you think both Fulton and Robinson will be this year with the addition of Melvin, number 1, and just another year under, your tutelage, knowing your system?
Yeah, starting with Ari, he missed a lot of time last year. Preseason, was injured, so he didn't get off to a great start like I had hoped. But when the conference player came around, he started getting really comfortable. I think it was like after 8 games, even though he was a freshman, he was leading the conference in minutes per game. And then his grandfather unfortunately passed, and he missed 2 games, and he had to go back to North Carolina and for the funeral and the wake for his grandfather, and didn't finish the year quite as high as he was playing at the beginning of conference. But I've just seen a completely different player in him than it. Coming back this summer, this fall, he's been playing at a really high level. I expect him to be one of the better mid-major wings in the country. And then, bringing Sebastian back was big. He's the only kid in my program that's played for me all 3 years. So just having a guy that kind of knows what he's doing and can kind of help the younger guys, from a leadership standpoint, be an extension of the coaching staff. I think that really helps him. I think those guys have the ability to be all league players. They've certainly showed it at spurts now, as Sebastian being a junior, Ari being a sophomore, a kid that I think had a massive summer. Those guys got to have really good years, along with Melvin. Melvin just being around, having played at Missouri State, having played at a year of junior college, having played for Marvin Menzies at UMKC for 2 years and starting for him. Having those three guys, they got to be guys for me, and they got to embrace where they are, where their game's at, where they are in terms of Sebastian being a junior, Melvin being this last year, and Ari being a guy that didn't really get going the way I kind of thought he would last year, just with the non-conference being out, missing so much time in the preseason. But those three guys have to be dudes for me this year.
So you mentioned Sebastian Robinson. He's a guy that I believe he entered the portal and then decided to return to NJIT, correct? You got him and Jeremy Clayville looking like a pretty good backcourt when it comes to the America East level. What are you seeing from those guys, and what can NJIT fans expect to see out of that group this season?
Yeah, Sebastian's a junior. His body looks great. He averaged 12, was up and down. Tariq did some good things, but he was. I think with Tariq, leaving and going to Rutgers, I think it's going to allow everyone else to kind of shine more and have a lot more opportunities. Tariq was a guy we really played a lot through last year, but I think this is going to give Sebastian a great opportunity. And Jeremy's just a flat out shooter, man. Like he gets down on himself when he misses a shot, but I just tell him, like, hey man, like I brought you here to shoot the basketball. I don't care if you miss 5-6 shots in a row, keep shooting the basketball. But having Jeremy, even though he's only a sophomore, he got a chance to be a part of a team that won the NEC tournament, was right there to win a game in the NCAA tournament. He made 61 threes as a freshman and shot it at 38% on an NCAA tournament team. So very confident, Ken, and having two local kids, I think that will help get a lot more people out to our games this year.
How have you approached this year? We talked about it as you came on a little bit. You picked 8th in the preseason. Do you use that at all, or you trying to build these guys up as much as humanly possible and give them confidence going into the season?
Yeah, I'll probably just mention it. I think it's fair to say, it's hard to really predict it, right? Like you look at Vermont's roster and the winning and the success they've had, you can say, all right, they're one. I think after that, what I'm going to tell my guys 2 through 9, like anything, it's completely up in the air. I can say, we can finish anywhere from 2nd and 9th, just how things play out, how we develop, and our injury status and everything like that. But I think it's a lot of unknown, and I think a lot of that goes to where have teams been recently, and I'm not here pumping on my chest saying this is crazy, because the program hasn't had much success lately, and if we want to change the narrative of the program and the perception of us, it's something we're going to have to do on the court.
What's the key to this group, Grant? I mean, look, you got to get the internal development. You needed the big. You got that. You got a solid looking backcourt. What is the one thing that has to happen if we look up in February and March and you guys are right there in the mix for an American East regular season championship?
I think a big thing is going to be, our ability to shoot the basketball. I think it's going to help us a lot more because Melvin's a willing passer. I also have a kid, Malachi Arrington, up and down as a freshman, didn't play a ton. He was 17 when the season started, but he's 6'10". He's a lob threat. So having those two guys, Melvin being a guy that you can play inside to out, as opposed to just all perimeter, and then having a guy that can sprint to the rim and catch lobs, and Malachi, and putting pressure on the defense. Having those two guys out there should really allow us to get much more better quality shots. And I think our ability to shoot the basketball. I mean, I think defensively last year we were solid, and we put ourselves in position to win games, but we just couldn't get over the hump offensively. But I think that should be I think we should be much stronger on the offensive end this year, and then obviously we want to continue to be an elite defensive team.
Grant, how in the world are you in your third year as a Division I head coach, right? You 6'10", Big East big man, right? You play professionally. How did it take you this long to get a big guy on your roster? How does this happen? I would have thought in my mind, Grant Billmeier, knowing what you were in college, first thing you would have done is gone and getting a guy you could throw it to in the post and go get you a bucket. And we had to wait 3 years for it. What happened, man?
Well, it's funny you say that because when I got the job, I had a relationship with the mentor for Melvin. You guys probably remember the kid Alexis Shetner that played for us at Seton Hall. Alexis had a good year. I got really close to his mentor, a guy from France. And so when I got the job, he called me and said, "Hey, I got a big guy for you." And immediately I went to work on the kid. I think we did 2 Zoom sessions, and then we got his transcript back. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to get him into school from a credit transfer standpoint. So the relationship had been developed back then. And then, because we weren't able to get him in, he had gone to play at UMKC. And then, I got a call from his agent again saying, "Hey, this kid's going in the portal. He spent a year at junior college. He's got another year." And I was like, "All right, I got to get this kid, whatever I got to do." And I called the kid literally 3 times a day, every day. And with all these players getting NIL and stuff like that, I got to be honest, I'm probably one of the only coaches that has benefited from a player taking care of a coach because he's a big PSG soccer fan. I'm not that big of a soccer fan, but he came back from the start of the year and he gave me a PSG jersey with my last name and my college number on it. So shout out to Melvin for giving his coach the first NIL coaches soccer jersey.
Hey,
why didn't you put it on?
My question is that. Yeah, why didn't you have it on?
Yeah, I probably should have. I'll probably save it for our first game at Fordham or something like that.
There you go. Hey, what do you think Grant Billmeier would have made NIL wise if you had been playing right now? How much could you have commanded this year?
I don't want this to come off the wrong way because by no way would I say I had a great college career. But being that I was a starter as a junior on a team that went to the NCAA tournament, I think the going rate for that now in high major basketball is probably $750. Like,
yeah,
I know
might have made $1 million.
Yeah, I know there's backup centers playing 8 minutes a game that are getting $750 and up. I just think the market is so high, and eventually, I don't believe it can be sustained. But to all the kids getting the money, that's great for them, and I wish it was like this when I was in college. I mean, I remember making $27,000 my first 3 years. My first 3 years on the staff at Seton Hall, I made $27,000, and eventually I got it up going into my 4th year, and I felt like I was making $1 million. So I don't know what my life would be like if I was getting paid close to $1 million. In South Orange.
You would have owned that money. Hey, Grant,
you probably would have got a lot of trips to Bunnies or Crines in South Orange, the local bars. But it was probably a good thing.
It's funny you mentioned that. Grant, I literally just got a text that said, "Would Grant have had an NIL deal with Bunnies South Orange when he was in college?"
Yeah, I mean, the amount of bar pies that would have been eaten would have gotten me an NIL deal itself.
See, that's why all those bar pies is why you can't wear that soccer jersey right now. Those things might be a little bit too tight.
I got 2 young kids, so they keep me active, chasing them around all day.
There you go. Listen, Grant, it's great to see you, man. Best of luck this season, and hopefully, I got to get up there for a game. I'm going to bring my kids up there for a game. Can we get a 10-year-old to maybe be the guy that shoots free throws for a chance to win a gift certificate to Bunnies? What do you think?
Yeah, I'll make that happen. And all my beef with Dauster has ended. I usually unmute him. Being Seton Hall, UConn, the rivalry. That Dauster is a pretty hard UConn fan, so he got muted. But with a guy who's like my brother and Mike Nardi joining the staff, I've considered unmuting you for the college basketball season. With Mike on staff, he got my kids two little husky dogs. So hearing having you here in the Billmeier household will definitely be a new thing. unmuting Rob Dauster is up for debate for the college basketball scene.
Look, you don't want to do that.
Don't do it.
I am
Don't
not a
unmute
good
him.
follow anymore. Yeah, don't unmute me. I'm not a good follow. But I will put you in the rotation of text messages that I send every time UConn wins a game. So congrats,
I don't need that.
We're gonna win a championship game, baby.
Well, good seeing you guys. Appreciate it, Jeff.
You too,
You look good, man. Hope Charleston's treating you well, man.
It has in my stomach. It definitely has. Thanks, Grant.
All right, fellas, be good.
Great to see you, Grant.
Take care, man.